Though not always as on the nose as a certain merc with a mouth, Disney's big superhero property has offered knowing nods towards the audience in the form of everything from characters straight up knocking the camera over to actions that allude to events that have actually taken place in real life. So buckle up, because I'm Gareth from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 times the MCU broke the fourth wall. Number 10, no resurrections this time, Avengers Infinity War. Quite literally grabbing their audience by the throat from the very first scene, the Russo brothers instantly let fans know that even a character seen as simply too damn popular to ever be genuinely killed off could be emphatically squished by the biggest threat the MCU had seen at that point. On the back of cheating death in the first pair of Thor films, Loki has his neck dramatically crunched by Thanos in Infinity War early on. That alone seemed to suggest we'd very much seen the last of this version of the God of Mischief. But the Mad Titans follow-up of No Resurrections this time felt like a much more knowing nod to the long-running MCU theme of Tom Hiddleston's charming anti-hero always finding a way to survive. Well, not this time, folks. Sure, Loki would actually ride again in a variant form in his own Disney Plus show on the back of his Endgame Space Stone detour. But for a moment, the Russos definitely wanted to make a point out of looking you square in the eye and letting you know that none of your favorites were safe. Number 9, The Watcher guides us through the multiverse. What if? Disney Plus's animated series by the name of What If set about throwing a number of compelling theories and alternate realities at the wall. And while almost every episode goes down in its own corner of the sprawling multiverse that seems to be getting bigger by the movie and TV show, one constant can be found in the faithful narrator guiding us through the tales of T'Challa's Star-Lord and Captain Carter and many more. But in having the Watcher masterfully voiced by the captivating Jeffrey Wright directly address the audience throughout, a definite line between the people watching at home and the action scene going down within these various different universes that can be found within the larger MCU was finally made official. Despite the being tasked with overseeing the various different realities going down within the multiverse, doing his best to stay out of the action and merely act as a narrator for us watching at home, however, the Watcher is ultimately dragged into the on-screen action thanks to a dastardly Infinity Stone wielding Ultron. Multiversal chaos ensues, naturally. Number 8, a small but active fanbase. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Even with a run that stretched on for a whopping 7 seasons and boasted cameos from the likes of Samuel L. Jackson and Haley Atwell, there was still no denying that Marvel Studios' Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series sat as one of its less popular properties sitting under the MCU banner. But those who still went out of their way to tune into the adventures of Clark Gregg's Phil Coulson and Ming-Na Wen's Melinda May were determined not to go down without a fight and formed quite a loyal little fanbase. And in a salute of sorts to those who still devoted their time to the often overlooked Marvel TV offering, the show's creators actually laced a rather brilliant fourth wall breaking line into a sequence involving Wen's May discussing extinction-level events. When Noah notes that when observing various potential threats, you'd be surprised how frequently S.H.I.E.L.D. is mentioned, May sharply quips back with, "We have a small but active fanbase." Adding further fuel to this being a knowing thank you to those still watching on, the show's Twitter account would even tweet out the clip with a wink emoji later down the road. They saw you and they appreciated you. Number 7, Deadpool and KORG promote Free Guy. YouTube? It was always only ever a matter of time before the MCU found itself being swept away by the typical brand of fourth wall pulverizing shenanigans the merc with a mouth has made into a lucrative pastime as of late. And hot on the heels of Disney finally acquiring the rights to the characters found over in Fox, Deadpool was soon on hand to drag one of the MCU's most loved faces into their meta madness. Unleashed onto YouTube in the lead up to the long-awaited release of Ryan Reynolds' 20th Century Fox feature by the name of Free Guy, Wade Wilson took up a spot next to none other than KORG, played by Taika Waititi, who also appeared in said feature, to speak directly to those watching at home about the upcoming flick as the pair reacted to the film's trailer. Making many a quip at Disney, its streaming service, and the stars themselves' expense from start to finish, this first glimpse into a Deadpool-boasting MCU was about as unashamedly quick-witted and carefree as you were hoping, and more. All the avocados from me. Number 6, Baby Groot stumbles into the camera. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Never one to play by the rules or deliver what is expected, James Gunn was at it again when it came time to unleash a second Guardians of the Galaxy offering into the world. And sure enough, it took all of about 5 minutes for the director to bring one of the most subtle yet unprecedented beats the MCU had ever seen into existence, as a little baby tree brought us all straight back down to earth with a bang. As the team duke it out with an interdimensional beast, as you do, a creature mounting Baby Groot can be seen getting blasted off the galloping alien and flying towards the camera. Instead of simply capturing the moment though, Gunn decided to have the camera ricochet off the little plant being, jarring the audience into believing the lovable Guardian had actually just collided with a camera mid-shoot. It's barely acknowledged and the action swiftly moves on, but Gunn definitely knew what he was doing and has even alluded to having water splash the camera during the first Guardians movie too. Number 5, a modern family twist, WandaVision. It's safe to say that 2021's WandaVision Disney Plus series was unlike anything the MCU has birthed into existence up to this point. Jumping through decades by the episode as Wanda Maximoff attempts to build a sitcom paradise to live out her days in alongside her now deceased partner Vision and their children, the series makes a point out of fully embracing each and every era it delves into. And it's in this committing to certain genres that the fourth wall being completely busted through becomes arguably the center of an entire episode in the show, as episode 7's Breaking the Fourth Wall brilliantly leans into The Office and Modern Family's mockumentary and down-the-lens tropes throughout. Everything from subtle nods to those aforementioned influences in the episode's opening credits, to the characters' Jim Halpert-esque asides to the camera, are all masterfully infused into the twisting tale of how Wanda finally comes to being the all-powerful Scarlet Witch. Number 4, Natalie Portman and Gwyneth Paltrow weren't invited, Avengers Age of Ultron. For a film that boasted arguably the most star-studded lineup the MCU had thrown into a big-budget feature to date, the absence of two notable characters in particular during Age of Ultron was still undoubtedly noticeable, and even more so thanks to a scene clearly designed to placate those scratching their heads in the audience. On the back of taking on starring roles in both Iron Man 3 and Thor: The Dark World, neither Gwyneth Paltrow or Natalie Portman respectively were brought in for the second Avengers ensemble flick. Paltrow went on record to state that nobody's asked me when nudged on the matter around the time, and Portman seemed to be quite publicly done with the franchise altogether in the wake of Patty Jenkins' departure from Dark World as director. In order to gloss over the no-shows in the aforementioned Avenger flick then, when asked where their love interests are at a team party, Tony Stark and Thor get competitive over how well their partners are doing in their chosen fields. Simply put, Marvel were fully aware you knew why these two household names were absent at this point in the series, and decided to make their absences canon to keep you from blasting the studio for outright ignoring them altogether. Well, at least they tried. Number 3, Deadpool tells Thanos to zip it, Deadpool 2. Though not strictly going down within the MCU at the point of its arrival on the cinematic scene, the fact the most terrifying big bad in the history of Marvel Studios, and a character who now falls under the Disney banner were involved in the outstanding fourth wall break in question, means they just about squeeze onto this list, because it's my list and I'll do what I want. As the summer of Brolin known as 2018 was in full swing, the merc with a mouth simply could not resist taking a crowd-popping swipe at the familiar face. When faced with an uncooperative Cable late on, Wade Wilson hilariously demands him to zip it, Thanos, before getting a face full of metal hand for his troubles. It's a throwaway dig and acts as one of the many MCU salutes over the course of the Fox picture, but you'd be lying if he didn't let out a sudden gut laugh at the acknowledgement of Josh Brolin dominating the villainous superhero world and providing a clear MCU headache now that Cable and Thanos are now most likely a part of the same universe, right? Number 2, Robert Downey Jr.'s Burger King tribute, Iron Man. As it goes, the sight of Iron Man chomping down on some Burger King beef over the course of the first Iron Man flick in particular was something of a knowing tribute to the well-known American food chain brought about by none other than the film's star himself. Let me explain. As Robert Downey Jr. would note around the time of that MCU Kickstarter's release, the actor thanks Burger King for saving his life at his lowest. After buying a burger from one of the restaurants whilst driving in a car with a ton of effing dope, RDJ told New York Daily News that he had an epiphany shortly after. Upon eating the disgusting burger, he thought something really bad was gonna happen, but then proceeded to dump the drugs he had on him and get cleaned up. Going one further, the MCU titan would then claim that Tony's need for an American cheeseburger, as soon as he is free from the 10 rings in Iron Man, was a salute of sorts to the fast food chain inadvertently saving the actor behind the armor's life. How's that for life influencing out then, eh? Number 1, WandaVision's recasting, WandaVision. Despite many hoping that Evan Peters' shocking appearance as Quicksilver in the conclusion of episode 5 of WandaVision would open the door for the rest of Xavier's Fox School for Gifted Children to burst through the multiverse. Come on, multiverse of madness, don't do us dirty. In reality, this twist was designed as nothing more than a way to play with yet another sitcom trope, but in the most fourth wall destroying way imaginable. Knowingly recasting the role of Pietro with Peters, known by superfans for his displays as the superfast mutant in the Fox universe, midway through this show within a show's run, as sitcoms have been known to regularly do, WandaVision showrunner Matt Shakman has also gone on record to admit that this bait and switch of sorts was a way to play with audiences' expectations in a similar fashion to that of Ben Kingsley in Iron Man 3. And in another blink and you'll miss it fourth wall smashing nod, Tommy blurts out kick-ass in response to his uncle on Halloween, leading to Wanda repeating the line. Both Peters and Aaron Taylor Johnson appeared in the rated R superhero romp of the same name together outside of the MCU too. Coincidence? Yeah, I think not. And that's our list. Know of any other times the MCU broke the fourth wall? Then let me know all about them in the comments section right down below, and do not forget to like, share, and click on that super subscribe button while you're at it. Also, if you dig this sort of thing, then head on over to whatculture.com and find some more awesome articles just like the one this video you're watching right now is based on. I've been Gareth from whatculture.com. Thank you as always for watching this video today, and I'm sure I'll see you very, very soon. Bye bye.